How's your mom and dad? Ay, qué bueno. That's good. Hi. Hello. Okay. What kind of spirits? The one you drink or the ones? No, I'm gonna get silly. Don't get silly, Haman. Someone named you. Okay. Ouch. I should wear these. If I'm on the beach. Thank you. Yeah, it looks good. Diga. Thank you for having me. Well, my name is Rosa Elvira Parrilla, and I'm originally from New York, born and raised, Puerto Rican and Cuban descent. That's it. You want to know how old I am? Yes, I finished high school and almost got to college, but I went to one door and came out the other. So my college is Ritimo. Go ahead. How did I get involved? Um, I used to do a lot of Mesa Blanca for people. They would call me to, and some of them were santeros, after they got to know who I was, got the word got around. And I went to visit a friend, and there was a ceremony going on there. This was in Brooklyn. Brooklyn?
Right.
No, Bronx.
No,
I can
Bronx.
remember. I can remember correctly. And
My friend
was making
going through the initiation was Bobby
Bobby
Cespedes.
Cespedes.
Oh, I know
He's
Bobby.
a singer. He's a singer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know Bobby, right?
You know
Yeah,
Bobby,
of course.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
And
And
I saw this old man,
well,
he wasn't old, but he was an older man coming out of this room while I was leaving.
leaving.
And I stopped
And
at
I
this
stopped at this
top staircase.
staircase.
You know, in Brooklyn, they have those houses that you have up and downstairs.
downstairs.
Anyway, I stood there and I saw this come out, and it was like
immediate
love
love
for this man.
for this man.
Didn't know who he
Didn't know
was.
who he was.
And then I turned and I looked into the room,
room,
another room,
another room,
where Bobby was getting going to the initiation, but I saw the part where they were initiating or doing the ceremony on her belly, when she was pregnant. And somebody said, Aleyo, close the door. Somebody's looking. I didn't know what that meant. I knew what they meant about somebody's looking. So I stepped to the side and decided to stay. This man that I first saw, he walked to the kitchen and went into some room. I had to be very still because in those days you just didn't walk around and just do whatever. You had to be very respectful in the person's house. But I couldn't just help myself with the love that I felt. It was like love. I don't know. I can't explain it. Love at first sight. I think that's what you call it, right? And he was doing a ceremony there talking to that I know is Egun. And he was speaking very fluently Yoruba. And what got my attention was, wow. He's a light-skinned man. He must have really studied Yoruba. Because he spoke Spanish very well. So I couldn't leave. He said, everybody turn around. Well, the women turn around. Well, of course, I didn't want to turn around. I wanted to see what was going on. This man actually had eyes in the back because he said, you. Turn around. And he didn't turn around to see who he was. And I quickly turned around and I said, oh, I like this man. So I information about him, where he lived, who he was, and I made an arrangement. I asked him, is it okay if I can come and see him, or if he can read me, or, and that's how it all began. You heard me? Yeah, okay. Yeah, that's how it began. I don't know if I really want to talk about what happened at his house while he was reading me, because he didn't finish the reading. He didn't finish okay. He was reading me, and then he asked me, do I pass spirit? And I looked at him and said to myself, why would he ask me that? For a minute before he knew it, I woke up at the front door. When I woke up at the door, I got scared because his face was looking at my face. He looked scared. And then he said, if I'm going to be your godfather, there's only one Orisha that I would initiate you with. I didn't know what he was saying. I kind of like semi-understood, but I couldn't move from that door. And I said, who? He said, it's not Oshun. I said, okay. And that was it. I didn't see him for quite a few days afterwards, trying to process everything, and a little semi-upset because how could they do this in front of a stranger, in a strange house? But then, I should have been used to that. And that's how it happened. And I saw him again, making another arrangement for him to read me, and that was it. He cleared up who I was supposed to be made, as opposed to my first godparent, who didn't want to make me to the Orisha that I told her that I should be made to. I had 3 babalaos do the reading. They bring down Ifa, whatever it is that they do. And none of them got it together. None of them could get the same answer, because all 3 of them, or 2 of them, were supposed to get the same answer. And Pancho Mora asked me, Mijita, ¿qué santo tú quieres? And I said,
Well, I don't know who he is. Un cojo, el igual. I say un cojo, el igual. Because I was passing that spirit all along as well. So I didn't know what was going on. People that knew didn't say anything, didn't try to guide me or teach me and whatever. And then the godmother that I had then, Pancho turned around and said to her, I'm sorry, I can't do what you asked me. And then the three of them decided to throw again, and all three of them got the same answer. I walked out of there and I said, okay, it's time for me to disappear for a while. And I went back to go forward because I started out hard, with Polo. But then after that, that's when I met Polo. And then that's when he said, I'm not going to make you to, Ochun. During those times, I had Obatala dresses made up, Oshun dresses made up, Oya dresses made up, meaning the gala attire that you wear on your initiation day or the day of the third day, Dia del Medio, right? And I left all that. I really had a bad experience also with the money. She took my money. And Polo told me, he says, go get your money, but you're not going to get it. But go anyway, knock on her door. I did that, knocked on the door. And you know how in New York, everybody had those chains, because I had it too. Excuse me. And she said, if you're coming for your money, I'm not giving it to you. It belongs to me. I said, that's okay. I'm just telling you, thank you. I appreciated you. And I'm going to go on my way. And that's how it really began. Yeah, it was a lot. It wasn't easy. It wasn't easy. Yes. I did went through that, thinking that I was crazy because my family used to tell me that I was crazy, except for my grandmother. She knew, but they wouldn't tell me. Uh, when I was 3 years old, I remember bits and pieces at 3 years old, 4 and 5, visiting my aunt, who was one of the spiritualists of the house. The medium, they used to come to the house. My aunts and uncles, they were big at that. Every Friday was misa night, and they do those prayers, and I was always scared. And they would always call me out, and I would say no. And I used to look at them. I said, "Who are these people? Why are they so funny looking?" Because I didn't realize that they were not themselves. Whooping and hollering like Indians and things like that, and using candles and passing it on their arms, and that what that is for a child to see that. But something in me was saying, it's okay. All right. So at 4, they started taking me to my aunt's house because I started seeing what my grandmother would say, a Christ figure, a tall man, a long white robe, long curly hair, brown skin. I would see him every day in my bedroom and scared. I would get scared because he put his arms out to reach. And I said, oh my God, I'm going to die. Right? So finally, my grandmother arguing with my mother, you know, she's the one, you know, we have to take care of her. You know, we got to take her to Tia Marta, right? She was the head of the Mesa Blanca. I didn't like going there because I didn't like all the secrets and stuff. They would tell me, go sit in the living room, and I hate that because I didn't like the idea that they talked about me, but I understood later on, you know, what was what. At that age, I think it was 4, my aunt texted me and said, Rosie, come here. I want you to do something for me. I said, okay. I went and she said, have a seat. And I didn't sit on the chair. I sat on the floor with my legs crossed, but they weren't crossed. They were like pulled back. I don't know what position that is, you know, but you can see my knees and you get, what is it? Whatever that position is. I sat like that. And she looked at my mom and I said, oh, maybe I'm sitting the wrong way, but I didn't care. I stayed like that. She got up and she went into this room where nobody goes. And she came out and she brought these cards. And she said, here. And I looked at them and she said, throw them. Tíralo, right? So tíralo means throw them. So I threw them up in the air and they fell all over the place, right? I will never, ever in my life will forget that. That's part of the book it's in my book that I'm writing that part. And she looked at my mom and she looked at me and I said, oh, I made a mistake in my head, but I stayed still. She said, read it, léemela. What do you see? So I picked out the ones that were up and I picked out carefully. And she just sat back and she said, wow. She turned to my mom and she said, con esta no se puede. Like that. That memory just kind of, that after that part, I don't remember anything else. Another time that I went, I was about 11. And I really was pissed off because they sent me to the living room again, have a seat while my aunt and my mom talked. So I decided to not wait, get up and leave. And my mother was calling me and I'm running down the steps and I haven't seen them since. And decided to do it on my own at 15. My family used to call me, my grandmother, my father's mother, hi, Lochi, can you give me a number? I would give her a number. She would hit. I never got anything from it. I didn't ask. But that's, am I saying, talking too much? Oh, okay. And I was always frightened in a sense because I would see things like apparitions. They weren't clear, but I can say what they look like, what color their expression, their complexion, what kind of clothing they were wearing. And after a while, I had to keep it to myself. I would cry a lot because I didn't have anyone to talk, to express it. At 7, I saw my very first spirit. I used to play by myself all the time. At 7 years old, yeah. And I would play with some toys or something. I never played with dolls. I started playing dolls when I got older. Little toys, little cars, little trains, little gadgets, clay, stuff like that. And I'll never ever forget that part when I said, I wish I had a friend. I'm lonely. I was always by myself. My parents left me by myself at the house while they went and worked and threatened me if I opened the door, if anybody knocked on the door, and I went and opened it. So if they didn't have the key to get in, I couldn't open that door. So I felt safe. When I said that I needed a friend, that I wanted a friend, I kid you not. Today, now, I'd say that could have been my third eye. I don't know what it was. But I turned around and this man appeared, dressed in black. I wasn't afraid. He sat down. He was at least 6 feet tall. He was very tall. And he sat down on the couch, away from me, crossed his leg, put his arm in the back of de la silla, the sofa. And I turned around and I smiled and I said, "Are you my friend? Mi amigo?" He shook his head. Yes. I'm getting a little emotional because I'll never ever forget things like that. And he shook his head, yes. And then I turned around, happy to show him to play with my toys, and he disappeared. I never, ever, ever told them, because if I would have told my parents, then they really thought I was crazy, because they thought I was crazy. I was the one that would tell them. I was the one that would tell them, the phone is going to ring and I think it's so-and-so. The phone would ring and it's so-and-so. Someone got killed in my grandmother's bedroom, and I would used to be afraid to go in that bedroom. And then when I asked the question, they would never give me an answer. So I decided to say, "Oh, maybe they killed somebody." So you know how you think all sorts of stuff. I said, "Okay." So that's how it's. I mean, I could go on and on and on. Carlos, I wrote all these things as part of the book that I want to put out to teach or show other people that there's nothing wrong with you. It's your parents that don't want to deal with it because they think that it's evil and bad. But in my opinion, if you talk about the so-called devil, who I don't believe in, and you mention him so much, that's no good. You understand what I'm saying? So I don't know if that meant anything for anybody, or to scare people. No, that's I don't believe in that. Yeah, okay, okay. It's my bad. Yes. Okay. How it was with the Santeria there? Oh my God! When you compare that with today, good goodness, I want to hide somewhere. It's very, very strict, very respectful. Um, when you met, first of all, I first started meeting the Cubans when I was a counselor at the for the homeless, and I met a lot of. I also the, what's this what's this group of people that pick up people and they take them back? Immigration. When I worked for immigration, it was during the time when the Marielito started coming in, right after Castro did all the things that he did. And the Mariel is the name of the boat that a lot of them came in. And I took care of a lot of them. And I had to put their stuff away. I wouldn't search them. I had a hard time searching the women. I didn't like that idea, but it was part of the job. And they were placed in this big building. And I worked there to counsel them, and they were my friends. I feel like I'm getting off the track because I'm going there. And I learned a lot from them because they were talking about their tradition and how they trusted me. They included me in their conversation. And the way they looked at me, they saw something in me. And I was okay with that. I would read them right off the bat without no cards, no nothing, just tell them things. I did some things there that I think if they ever find out, they won't find out. It's too late now. But if they did at that time, I probably would have went to jail. I opened up a door and allowed a few to escape. Because they had to. They had no business being there. And a few of them was visiting me and told me many things about their palo, their tradition, their santos, their chango, all of them. They were very comfortable and very respectful, you know. A lot of them were initiated, but they never got a chance to really work it afterwards because they were in jail for stealing a chicken during those times, you know. So to make a long story short, I started visiting the elders when they were coming in. When you walk in their house, wow, it was another world. You can actually feel the energy there. Positive, clean, your hair will stand up all over. And I'm the kind of person that I wouldn't sit down unless I was told to sit. Very generous. They knew who you were as soon as you walked in that door. And the way they treated you, you know. And I saw the way they worked. When you had no business knowing something, they would tell you, oh, could you go to the store and buy this for me? Or could you go to the next room and on this drawer, there's this and this. This is how they got you for you not to see what they were doing at the time, because I was always there. I was always at their ceremonies, and I don't know, I just wound up, they let me in, and this was before I was initiated. This was before I was initiated, so I guess in their eyes, I was okay. You asked me more questions, so I won't have to. Right. Okay. Okay. I'll get to Polo in a second. When a priest or Yahweh, because when you're a Yahweh, you're not a priest. Not yet. And not even when your year is up. That takes a while. You will still call a Yahweh even if you were 10 years old. At least I was. I'm going off the track for a minute. Let me think for a second. If you made a mistake, you weren't yelled at, you were called to the side, and you were told, look, mijita, mijo, this was, you did this. I understand you didn't. If you did it again, you got yelled at because there's no excuse for you not to know the first time. When the elders, one elder, made a mistake among other elders, they would get together and talk about it. And they talked to that person. They had like their little meetings or something. That they would get multas, whatever multa is, they have to pay no money, but a multa for their own Ocha, right? Or to the person that they disrespected or used the tradition for something negative and bad or for money. There are ways of doing it, getting your derecho and stuff like that. And it was just so different. The procession was different. The Orishas were really down, meaning that these people were trained, and I learned that. You have to go through el espiritismo first before you pass anything else. Mm. And then this is where the cruces comes in. with Polo, he allowed me to see a lot of things. He allowed me to do a ceremony, helping with a ceremony, knowing that I didn't have that, Orisha. I kept things quiet. I kept it to myself. He trusted me. I also was allowed, but not to participate, just to watch this woman. She was a child of Agayu, was made to Agayu. No, she was a child of Agayu, was made to Oya. In Cuba, she used to pass Oya a lot and talked. During those days, they talked. There was no ceremony. Come to the United States, I went to that initiation, and Polo said, what you see, nothing. What you hear, nada. Como quien dice, cállese la boca, no hables. Okay, I stepped aside and I watched this whole thing. It was intense. This woman passed Oya in her initiation and started speaking. And Polo said, no, you don't have the right to speak right now. It's different. You're going to the initiation. I saw the initiation and that was it. I said, oh my God. And I often wondered, why did they do that? Why did they did that part of the ceremony here in the United States and some parts of Cuba? Afterwards, a certain amount of years, I guess, they didn't allow that particular Ocha to speak right away. I never understood it. I never, even, ¿cómo se dice? Averiguarlo, So during my, ¿cómo se llama? Spirituality, doing my own self as well, developing, that was hard. I asked many questions and I got answers by going to a lot of places and seeing. I said, oh, that's what that, oh, this is what that is, and that was it. After the beginning of the 70s, things started to change. The elders died. A lot of the elders went a different way. They started selling their ochas and things. I couldn't understand why, because of the money involved. They couldn't get jobs. A lot of them didn't speak English, so I understood that, and it was okay. A lot of people did a lot of bad things. Then the youngsters started to come in, and then that's when everything changed. When I was initiated in Maita, Polo said, you are going to see things differently when you leave New York, when you go to another country, another place, right? I said, okay, it's not going to be the same. Don't get involved. Don't try to stop anybody, because you're going to have to prove that what they're doing is wrong or right, and you'll not be able to prove it. So, Carlos, I saw many things that it doesn't surprise me how things are going now. And I want things to be, you can never take it back the way it was, but at least teach what I know and what I learned. And hopefully that some people will carry it on later on for these youngsters, the little kids that, and leave a legacy, like my godson Tony says. Leave a legacy, So Ola was a very matured, sensible man. He had a hell of a temper. If things didn't go right, and it was going on a third time, it was an earthquake. And he would, if things weren't right, like someone made a shirt for him and the buttons were, and he was nervous and he could put the buttons in it. Esta una mierda, he would say, and then he ripped it, and I would sit there and laugh. He never said anything to me, but anybody else that laughed, they got it. I would sit there and laugh. You know, he would teach you only what he thought you needed to know. He taught me, you are going to teach. You are a spiritista first, but you need to balance. You needed to balance with Ocha, and you're going to learn what Ocha is. No son santos. And I looked at him with the feeling of, I know this. I know this. It's not what it is. It's not santos. You don't initiate anybody to a santo, whatever that is. But anyway, and he taught me many things. He was very patient with me. I was able to talk to him about my dreams or whatever weird stuff that was going on in my house, getting possessed by myself in the house. What was that all about? All sorts of stuff. I would go to his house, and the only time I would go to his house when nobody was around. And that's when he was able to tell me so many things that I was going to encounter, you know. The itas during those days, the readings were so different than they are now. Today they don't do the political thing, the readings for the political, you know, whatever things is going on. If an Orisha is ruling that city or that town, it has something to do with either that president coming or that government or whatever. And it was explained. They don't do that anymore. I miss that. You know, even the reading of the year for the house, I've noticed that whoever was reading, I saw how politically it came out from the presidents, you know, and stuff like that. The riots, I mean, all these things, it's incredible. And that's the difference. Things were quiet. You had the bad ones. You didn't, you know, not everything was, you know, people came over from Cuba and Spain or wherever, and they worked their bad magic or their bad juju so they can gain power and live well. They didn't know how to, but, you know, yin and yang, tú sabes. I when I'm mad, I get to, you know. Interesting. Was it okay with Polo? Did you get enough information about? Oh, okay. I see. Oh, okay. I learned Mesa Blanca because it's a Puerto Rican tradition. La obra espiritual. We sat on a round table, but or a square table. What I remember was a square table. You took the kitchen table and you took the mat off of it and set that up, right? One bowl in the middle. There's only 4 people to square, you know, to balance. Only 4 people. And you had the 2 people that passed the spirit, one person to interpret, and another person to do the writing or help out with whatever was said when the spirit came down. That's the first that I've learned from Mesa Blanca. And it wasn't called Mesa Blanca then. Espiritismo, that was it. Vamos espiritual, or, you know, una misa espiritual. So the half circle, that was the second time I learned it, when I started going with the Cubans and they were inviting me to go to their Mesa Blanca. It's really interesting. And nobody sat around the table. They sat from one corner and made a half a circle, a shoe kind of thing. Half a shoe, como se dice? Until the next person. Another one. Each person, el principal on one side. The next secretary or whatever is on the other side. I have better names for them, but I'm just putting it that way. And then the next person who's good at it, and then the next person.
And then the person doing the work, helping them, doing the desarrollo, whatever, sat them in the middle. We call that the hot chair. Remember that?
The hot seat.
The hot seat. And everybody there that's around them, except for the people sitting behind that person who sits in the middle, would tell this person. And usually this is done many, many times, to find out who's their guardian angel and stuff like that. So I learned 2 ways of doing it. Another way of doing it too, which is Puerto Rican style, is that you have 4 or 5 people on a long table, and the table, you're sitting against the wall, and you're facing like the audience. Everybody else is sitting in front of you.
Mm-hmm.
And you have this long table, and you're sitting up high a little bit, And that was another way. And there's only 1 cup. Usually one of those fish tanks. You remember those round bowls?
Yeah, fish bowl.
That was it. And then we had with candles, usually one candle, stuff like that. I learned a lot.
When you're in a misa and you have this, I have a few questions about this, but when you're sitting around a misa and you're maybe sitting at the head of the table, or maybe there's 2 people or 3 or 4 people, and you get this connection, like a thread going between everyone, right? Where like people are receiving messages and delivering messages to other folks. How do you differentiate from a spirit that's there to help versus something else, and or someone that is delivering a truthful message versus someone who's maybe in their head making things up, or how do you handle that?
Well, that happens. I sit and I watch and listen, and I can tell whether the person is their own spirit, themselves, their own intellectual. They're knowing. It's just something. It's a knowing, right? And then I can also tell when the energy of this spirit or the spiritual guide or even a grandmother is telling them, because I would see it, and of course I would tell them. Sometimes they don't realize that's what it is, and then they tell me, "Oh yeah, my grandmother so." And also, when the energy takes over the body, I can also tell whether it's completely there, halfway there, or not even, just like they touch you. It's like, I don't even know the word for it, pero una corriente, that they might feel chilly or something, or they're shaking a little bit, because they feel the energy, but it's not that close. And I can tell who it is. I could also tell if they're making things up because they're confused. They don't know. They're having a hard time receiving. They get in the way, in other words.
Okay.
And when you get in the way, then that's when things get out of hand. I said, so I have to tell them, now hold on, breathe, hold on a second, think about this, clear your mind, you got stuff in your head, and listen. Listen deep inside. don't overthink it. Don't let that other thing. Don't let the ego get involved, because that's another problem. So, yeah, does that answers your question?
Yes, no, it does. So I don't know if people can hear me. I don't know if they can hear me now. I try to fix it, but if you have questions, now's a good time to post them. We have a few minutes left, so post your questions, and we'll try to get to them. And while they're doing that, I wanted to ask you about someone who is trying to develop themselves as a spiritist or being connected to spirit in that way. What recommendations can you make? What should they be doing to help them develop?
Okay, I can tell how I started.
Okay.
I did not allow to whatever thoughts, other thoughts, negative thoughts, or whatever, get in the way. I was blessed to eat things. So it scared me, but I said, okay, I will pray right away. So what I did was to pray every day, set up my own table. And I will follow what I receive, what glasses go on the table. And it started out with just 3, aside from the big one that represents me. And I would sit and pray every day, sometimes twice a day. I learned some prayers. I could say it without looking at the books. But the best prayer is praying from your heart. Venting, talking to God, or talking to your grandmother, or just letting it out and releasing it. Very, sentada en la mesa with a candle, taking spiritual bath with flowers, especially white ones is calming, red ones are very energetic, blue ones are smoothing, different colors, whatever, suits you. Florida water, I grew up with the Florida water. Making your own mixture with water and honey, sugar, or something sweet, Smudging yourself with incense, burning a nice incense that smells nice, and just passing it over your body, because my mother used to do that to me. And I would always laugh because she would say, okay, now spread your legs, and I'd crack up because she would go over. I had to spread my legs and go over, but I would be scared that the smoke would go too far.
People pay for that now. People pay for that.
Oh my God. You're kidding. Anyway, I don't know. Wow. Okay. Something's wrong with me, right? Oh God. Okay. So, myself. Either you do it outside of the door, it's okay, you do it at the house, make a solution with perfume. Different kinds of perfumes. You mix it together with a little bit of water, and spray the house, spray yourself, spray your table. Take your glass of water and maybe put white sugar on, brown sugar on, whatever the feeling, whatever came over you. This is how I did it and trusted, because I didn't trust anybody. I didn't trust my family. And ever since my aunt says, con esta no se puede. In other words, you need to let her go, and ella no está loca, and all that kind of stuff. She's going to do it on her own, because there's nobody going to be out there that's going to. And it happened. I would go to a misa. I would have a misa for myself. I wound up working it. It was like that for a long time. So I said,
I think I'm going to start doing my own. About 17, I'm going to start doing my own. And I did.
Wow.
I just had that faith in that and allowed myself to, but also be aware of the negative, what we call negative. Traición, los espíritus burlones, or somebody, so I call them people, somebody that's sneaking in because they want that light. And when they want that light, you feel very bad. Something is wrong. Something is not right about this.
I was going to ask you about that. So it's a feeling.
Yeah, it's a feeling. You can feel it in your body. You feel it in your stomach. You can feel it in your head. You see certain things that are not quite, como se dice, clear, or you just know. It's a no.
It doesn't feel right.
Right, there you go. Something doesn't feel right, and never second guess it, because that first guess is what it is. If you're gonna say, no, esto locura mía, then you're really in a pickle.
We're not going to talk about it, but you just reminded me of what happened in the basement of my mother's house.
Oh,
I ran out the door.
Why would you tell that story?
No, we're not going to talk about that today.
Right, that's part of it. Oh wow,
that was crazy.
Well, I've been to many things like that, and I just said, okay, nothing's gonna happen. I don't give up. And this is what this is, and God, you gave me this, or did I ask for it, or whatever it is, I don't remember, pero nada me va a pasar. And went through it, and I went through a lot.
So
the last frightening thing that I went through, I trained a few of my God kids. You didn't meet them, I won't mention his name. And I totally asked the highest of the most highs. I never want to receive a bad negative from anybody ever again.
Mm-hmm.
When you're a medium, you can take in that bad spirit, talk about who said this, who did this, how they did it, blah, blah, blah. And I thought that I was going to be safe. And while going through that and coming out of it, I thought I was going to die.
Wow.
And got scared. No one. They freaked out. Didn't know what to do. After what I taught them, I said, okay. This was back in, 70s, early 80s, something like that. Wow. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So
go ahead.
No, go ahead.
No, I decided to do something different.
Okay.
And just pick those who,
Yeah.
Like mistakes. It's okay. It's a learning lesson for both of us, for me and for the person.
So we have questions here. Some of them are from some of your God kids. And they're from different people. So first, someone is asking how. Okay, Monica's got a lot of questions. Monica's Oshunlade's sister. So, first question is, what is a way to get grounded in these days? Meaning, with everything that's going on, how do you stay grounded?
You stay grounded by following your intuition. You knew something about this was happening, but you didn't know exactly when. You had dreams. You saw it on TV. Some spokesmen spoke about it. Gates spoke about it. All this changes of the weather, sicknesses, all just sneaking in and out. Not everybody exactly saying what it is. It was something inside you telling me, algo va a pasar, no sé lo que es, but let me get prepared. Let me talk to my people. Let me tune in. Let me meditate on this. Let me pray and see if I can get some answers to, if it's sickness, who do I go to? What spirit, what energy is going to do this? Is it Lázaro or some other spirits that deal with something like that lived in those days, died from that sickness, and has the right to, give the messages? ¿Tú me entiendes? Like Lázaro and others. So you stay grounded by not being afraid. Fear makes you blind. Laugh as much as you can, and protect yourself and not trust. That person is okay. Yeah. You just have to do what you got to do at a distance, like now, and energy flows. You might not have touched that person, but whatever energy that person has, bring it with you. And get sick spiritually, not physically. There's a difference.
Yep.
There's a difference.
Yes.
See? And if you're a medium, that's what happens. You feel all that stuff. And it's like, dang, crazy. So that's how you ground yourself. You wear light colors. So you want to track certain energy that has colors. So if pachacarte, in other words, white repel, black sucks in, brown, dark brown sucks in, light brown might repel a little bit. Things like that. ¿Me entiende?
So,
yeah.
We've been talking for about an hour. Are you okay to go for a little longer?
Yes.
Okay, good. Because
this is me.
Okay, because you mentioned prayers, and I want to get to a few more questions, but I also wanted to point out, let's see if I can get this to show up, your book. So you have a book. I looked it up. It's available on Barnes & Noble for download, I think.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I saw it on there. It's a collection of prayers for the modern spiritist.
Right.
And, I mean, I'm sure you can talk about it more than I can, but I think these are some of I just went blank. These are some of the Kardec prayers, but you corrected them, basically, right? Because they're really in bad English, basically. Right. Can you talk a little bit about this book?
Sure. It started out when I was working in Philadelphia with a lot of non-Spanish speaking people, Black Americans, Caucasian people, and they were involved, in the spiritual world, trying to get themselves together spiritually, and the Wicca and all that kind of stuff. And I was always called to do all sorts of stuff. And I memorized my prayers. I say it in Spanish. And then the English book came out. I said, I'm going to write it so people can understand it the best I know how. Right? Because the Spanish it's old-fashioned, but if you're going to redo it, do it properly. That was my take on it.
Right.
Reading it, I bought the English one. I didn't like it. It didn't do anything for me. I didn't understand, those big words. I'm not that savvy that way. So I said, I'm going to do it. I did it all by hand. That way I knew how. And then I asked Angel, God's son, to help me because he spoke better Spanish than I did. And he went to college and whatnot. He's good at it. So I asked him, can you help me do this? And he did. And that's how that book came about. I also had to call the person that was in charge of Allan Kardec and get permission to do it. Mm. And he said, you can do it, but don't change the cover of the book, don't change anything. Keep it to. I said, okay, good. And I did. And everything was fine. But I noticed there's another English one that came out. I didn't care for that one. Not for me anyway. I'm sure it's okay for other people. But I'm trying to finish the one that I'm doing, making up my own prayers with the help of my invisible people for people of all walks of life, especially for children that don't know how to pray. Lay me down to sleep. Oh, that's all cool, but they need to really understand conversation with the Almighty.
With him and
with
her.
him and her.
Sorry about that.
Sorry about that. Because I believe it is a her.
So there's another question here that asks. There's a few questions. Let me get another question from someone else here.
Okay.
Ask Rosie about rogations, how she sees them and how they work.
I'm a different
animal.
I learned
rogation
from my godfather. And he said you can do it this way, but eventually you're going to see some things, you're going to do it differently. I understood what he meant.
Because
this man knew me
inside out.
So when I do
rogations,
it's not always the same way. You know, with the coconuts and everything,
the prayers over the head and everything, so well and good.
Sometimes I might put 4 candles. Sometimes I might put 4 glasses of water. It all depends on
this person.
What they have. You know, I concentrate on it, and I do it. The rogations, like in the center of the head, they're all chakras. I learned that word not too long ago. The throat chakras to help you to speak clearly. And it's an opening where you can receive negative energies or sickness. The same thing with the hands.
With the hands. La mano.
¿Cómo se llama? Ay, Dios mío.
What's the name? Good at that.
When you're receiving good things,
and then
getting rid of bad things. That's another. It's hard for me to explain it because I don't know the words. And this is new for me. You know. Maybe one day I can show her how to do it and explain it to her better.
Here's another question that might be hard to answer in words. How do you open up to hear the spirits as a medium?
I was never taught that. You just listen. When you say, I think I heard something. Oh wow, I'm hearing things. Check it. Check it out. Write it down. And then grab it. Hold on to that. You see? Not everything you hear is so because again you're open to all sorts of stuff. So it's good to have a log, write things down, to get back into it. You know. And then always say, oh my God, did I hear that? Wow, I heard this. Okay. You're not crazy.
Right.
You know. You hear it outside. Where you actually turn around, or you can hear it inside your head. It's like them whispering, or sending you message. You know, I believe that our brain is like electricity. You send out messages, and you receive messages.
That's interesting.
That's what I don't know where that comes from. But I always thought that.
There's a lot of talk about electricity these days, with people talking about.
Ese corriente espiritual. Yeah, some of it.
I don't know much of anything, but if I were to describe it, I would say, for me, you have to be fearless in your faith. That's how I think about it. Being fearless in your faith, like jumping into a pool, not knowing how deep the water is or but just jumping.
Thank you. I couldn't think of that. That's how I move. You know me. You know how I move like that. Yeah. Just palante. What the heck?
Right.
You know.
Okay, so I have another question here. How important is it to balance the Egun and Orisha energy? not
balance.
Sure. I'm not sure I understand the question 100%, but I just wanted to ask it and see what comes out.
I think I understand by balancing it. Again, I will say what I do. There's a time when we work our Ochas, right? That's what you wanted to know. Spiritually. How do you do that? In other words, you can sit in front of them, the prayers. You have your candle, you have a glass of water, you have flowers. Bring them to that level. Because in my opinion, that's what they are. On a higher level. On a different level. On such a higher level that they need sacrifice of animals like the blood that gives life, strength and energy. La sangre, la vida. You know? And it's just more to it than just giving that sacrifice. Because you pray over that. Let's say chicken. Let me cut to the chicken. You know? You pray over that chicken. You caress that chicken. And you give thanks to that chicken by saying you're giving your life for us humans. And also feeding us at the same time. You know, that's how I see it. That's how I've always seen it. You know, I don't think I ever remember putting this out like that or classes or whatnot. I have all that stuff written down. Right. You know, Asa, I forget. You know, but that's how you make the difference. That's how you balance yourself. You don't mix it. The only time you mix it is when you're told put Oya on your bóveda. Do the research. Why?
That's it.
Right. Okay. And there are others as well. Do the research. Why? What's the connection? You see, so there are different levels of spirits, of energy. Different levels of currents, corriente. You know.
So
is that good?
Yeah, that was great. And I have a question about spiritual baths. Can you? Well, I guess I don't have so much of a question, but maybe a request. Maybe you can tell us a little bit about spiritual baths and what they're good for and why they work. But specifically, I'd like to ask if you have a recommendation of a generic bath that people can take now that they can do on their own to give them peace and tranquility and help them center themselves in these crazy times.
Okay, I can do that. Also, with the little bit that I learned, and Maria's good at that, so she can help me with that too with the herbs. But let me tell you a little story. Okay. In Philadelphia, I had a godson. May he rest his soul wherever he's at. And he used to have epileptic seizures. And he called me one day. He said, I need you to come to my house right now. I need help. I said, what's going on? I can't talk to you right now. Just come. So I went there. I said, okay. He's up. God knows I hope he's not having those things because I wouldn't know what to do. So when I got to his house, he was a little jittery, right? But before I stepped in his house, I saw all these herbs outside. I looked at it. I didn't recognize what they were. I went inside. He said, "What's the matter with you?" I said, "I don't know. I don't know if I'm going to have another attack or I don't know what it is." And he was getting ready to go through that. So what I did was I just followed my instinct. I went outside. Let the door open. And I kind of yelled at him. Like, "Don't move! And I picked up some herbs. And I cleansed them really good. And I burned incense. He had those stick incense. I didn't like those, but you work with what you got and pray over it, right? Cleanse them with it and whatnot. So help me God. That man did not have any more seizures until after he made his Ocha and started using drugs. I didn't make him. He decided that I wasn't. I'm gonna say it. Black enough. And I was a woman. You know how that is. But let me tell you what that herb was. That herb was if you touch it, you get blisters. Poison ivy.
What?
I did not. So help me God. I did not get poison ivy. He did not get poison ivy. I never told. This is the third time that I spoke on this. The first time was to his mom, and another girlfriend that he had, and now you.
Wow.
I never. And when I realized and learned what the poison ivy was, I stayed away from it. Who knows? I might have decided to touch it and then get poison ivy.
Wow.
So again, there's herbs out there. They talk to you. Their energy there. They're alive. And when you go by, you go into the park, you go into the woods, jogging or something, all of a sudden you stop because something called you, or a tree. Pay attention to that. Don't go there and then start picking. Stand there. Talk to that plant, or that tree, and receive. If it's okay for you to pick the leaf because it's meant for you to find out what is this leaf all about. What's the name of it? Where can I go to? Do the research. Stuff like that. So I never really studied herbs. After a while, I got to know casamena now, stuff like that I've used for myself in the past. So grounding. Casamena is good. I learned that it's for bacala. Casamena is also good when you put it on if you're swollen. You have a chinchon, what they call it. A swollen, or whatever. Bite or something. It's good for that. Let me see. What else is good? There's rompe saraway. I don't know it in English. What are herbs? Hierba buena, menta. Even herb that we eat. Right now I'm going blank. What's that herb that we eat? Collard greens. You can make a bath out of that. And don't boil it. You can boil it, but if you kind of scrub it like you're washing something. In the water. Make it green. However, put it in a blender. Put water in it. And make it that way. Then add all your ingredients. Whatever you want to add. Your own holy water. You take water. Put your hand over it and pray over it because it's for you. The holy water out here in the churches, they're not like what they used to be. I remember. So I don't even use that. In my own holy water you buy in the store, the Botanica. You have to pray over things because when you buy stuff, it's all como quiera.
So for people that never made a bath before, don't know what to put in it. Let's say they want to make a bath. Can you just give us the honey, molasses. Add flowers to it. You can. Let me see what else. If you use the holy water, that's good too. Perfume. Different kind of perfume. Colognes.
They have different kinds of Florida water,
mint,
menta.
What else?
Whatever comes.
And this is a bath.
Yeah, a bath.
That you pour on yourself, not that you get in the tub. I'm trying to explain for people who don't know.
No.
You take your bath first. No, I understand. You shower first, do your bath first, rinse off,
and then pour your spiritual bath on you. You don't rinse. Of course, you take off all the stuff that's on you. You stick the flowers and the herbs, But you pat yourself down. You put milk. You put milk. You put goat's milk in it. You can dilute the water, add a little bit in it. You can grate some cocoa butter in it if you want. Cacarilla. If you can't afford to buy it, then take some white shell, the eggshell, and grind it up. Yeah, you don't add nothing to it because that's what it's made out of. I make my own. There's so many other things that you can add. Wine, white wine, red wine, just a little bit. Hey, you want to take some? Okay. But why when you cleansing yourself, why eat it? I don't know.
Last question. I could keep you here forever. So for someone that's just getting started and they want to put up a table and make a little altar or egun table, what do you recommend? Where should they start? What should they do?
Yeah, first of all, what do they know about it? Were they told to do it? Are they having dreams? This come up in somebody's house, a reading, stuff like that. But like I said earlier, sit down, pray, and ask. And one of the questions you ask, in the name of your higher power, and all the good things that comes with you, who is my guardian angel? Who are my spiritual guides? Who are my working spirits? Who are my warriors? Things like that. And write them down. If you know your history, maybe a great-grandmother used to do these things, get information. Everybody has it. And then find a person who's willing to guide you and teach you somewhat. Just guide you and teach you to some things that you already know, some things that belongs to you.
That's it.
Not allowing them giving something that's not yours. Putting their own stuff. It's the only thing I can.
Luz.
Putting a picture of a person that they have in their mind, that's gone already, and giving that person light to come. Because not that they're in the dark, but they need a signal, una luz to come to them. That's what the light is for. That's what the candle is for. Not because they're in the dark.
That's it. Si la luz reventora te llama.
Sí sea.
Thank you, Madrina.
You're welcome.
Anything else you want to say before we go?
I wish everybody well. Please do not let the fear bring out that fear in you. Fear is only fear in itself. Believe in yourself. Let your mind and whatever you feel in your body guide you. Trust yourself. And read between the lines if you're listening to the news, because you will get messages in the news by your own telling you, it's different. It's going to be this. Follow that. But you don't have to tell nobody. You don't have to follow that. Just be careful. Just be aware and trust what you have. It's going to be good. It's not going to be as good as we hope it to be. some other stuff is coming, but I'm not going to go deep into that, but just be open to it. It's going to be fine, because this is not the first time that has happened.
That's it. That's it.
You know, so just eat right. You know, if you're allergic to certain things, stop it. Don't open that word. God bless everybody.
Thank you, Madrina. Bendición.
Progress for everybody.
I love you.
Love you too, mi amor. Thank you for this.
Thank you, everybody.
This is good.
Thank you, everybody. Everybody can hear me.
All right, bye-bye.
Okay, bye.